The famous media personality and journalist Piers Morgan has been known to maintain a quite cordial relationship with Queen Camilla. However, in a shocking turn of events, he has just made a bold statement that set the royal world buzzing. Known for his unapologetic takes and fiery opinions, Piers has now crossed a line that has left Queen Camilla reeling. This left many wondering, how will Camilla, the Queen consort, respond to such a direct challenge? And is there more to this drama than meets the eye? Join us in this video as we reveal the moment Piers Morgan threatened Queen Camilla. Piers Morgan's threat to the Queen. Piers Morgan has been an avid supporter of Camilla for a long period of time. Ever since the news of her cancer diagnosis, he has openly sent out his wishes for quick recovery and stated how he indeed felt for her. But it seems the tide is taking quite a different turn. It was claimed that Morgan might have threatened her. But this seems unlikely since Piers has usually had a good relationship with the Queen consort. Is there really a feud going on here? Or is this all some terrible mix-up? Well, we're about to clear the air, so pay attention. Now, the answer to that question is simple. It turns out, Morgan wasn't threatening Queen Camilla at all. In fact, he was actually offering her support. The real target of the threat was none other than Thorpe. Here's how the situation took a sudden, unexpected turn. During King Charles and Camilla's royal tour of Australia, Australian Senator Lydia Thorpe launched a fiery verbal attack on the king, accusing him of complicity in genocide. Piers didn't hold back at that time, branding Thorpe a foul-mouthed imbecile in his column for The Sun. Despite the disruptive protests and political snubs, which threatened to ruin the tour, Piers praised the overwhelming support the royal couple received from the Australian public. He noted the stunning turnout at the Sydney Opera House on the final day, where jubilant crowds outnumbered the anti-monarchy demonstrators, including Thorpe. Of course, Piers's defense of Camilla goes beyond this moment. Even when Camilla was faced with the harshest of remarks from her stepson, Prince Harry, Piers has remained strong in his support. Speaking of these harsh comments, what exactly did Prince Harry say that sparked such a strong reaction from Piers? Why does he continue to defend Camilla so fiercely? Stay tuned to discover the full story. Piers Morgan became friends with Queen consort Camilla after attending a Christmas lunch she hosted last month. So by all standards, he is among the very few people in the right position to disclose to the world who he thinks the Queen really is. Piers shared his thoughts on Twitter with his 8.3 million followers describing who the Queen is in response to the Metro article from Prince Harry's CBS interview. But what was in the article? Prince Harry apparently stirred the pot by calling his stepmother, Camilla, the villain, and accusing her of being the third person in his parents' marriage. He also claimed her efforts to improve her public image were dangerous, saying her relationships with the press were a way to change public perception. This all came during a CBS interview with Anderson Cooper, where Harry shared his concerns about Camilla's role in his family and her need for constant PR. However, Piers Morgan was quick to hit back. Piers pointed out Harry's hypocrisy by reminding everyone that Harry himself has been more than willing to forge relationships with US media stars like Oprah, James Corden, and networks like Netflix, all while cashing in on the family drama. It's understandable that Harry might not have the easiest relationship with his stepmother. Having a new figure in the family after the loss of his mother, Princess Diana, can't be easy. But accusing Camilla of being all bad doesn't seem fair. What Harry overlooks is how much Camilla has done to give back through charity work, proving her genuine care for others. In the next part of the video, we'll take a look at some of her kindest acts, showing a side of Camilla that often goes unnoticed. You don't want to miss this. Queen Camilla's acts of kindness. Camilla, the Queen consort of the United Kingdom, is deeply committed to charitable causes and has become a prominent figure in supporting a wide range of organizations. As the patron or president of more than 100 charities, she has dedicated much of her life to causes such as health, education, and social welfare. One of her key roles is as Honorary Commodore-in-Chief of the Royal Navy Medical Service, a position that allows her to support and recognize the work of naval medical teams. In 2012, for instance, she awarded medals to naval medical personnel who had returned from serving in Afghanistan. Her charity work extends beyond health services. In 2013, Camilla made history by becoming the first female chancellor of the University of Aberdeen, a role that involves presiding over degree ceremonies. She is also the honorary president of the Women of the World Festival, which celebrates the achievements of women and girls around the globe and addresses the challenges they face, particularly issues like domestic violence. In 2022, she became patron of London's National Theatre, and, in early 2024, she was named the first royal patron of the Anne Frank Trust UK. Additionally, her charity portfolio expanded significantly in May 2024, with her taking on 15 new roles, including those with the Army Benevolent Fund, Royal Voluntary Service, and the Queen's Nursing Institute. One of Camilla's most significant contributions has been in raising awareness about osteoporosis, a disease that took the lives of her mother and grandmother. After joining the National Osteoporosis Society in 1994, she became its patron in 1997, and later its president in 2001. She has worked tirelessly to educate the public, particularly women, about the importance of bone health. In 2002, she published A Skeleton Guide to a Healthy You, a mini-book offering tips on how to protect against osteoporosis. Her advocacy reached an international stage when, in 2003, she attended a global conference in Lisbon, hosted by Queen Rania of Jordan, where she gave her first public speech on the issue. Camilla's efforts have raised significant funds for osteoporosis research and services, including launching the Big Bone Walk campaign in 2006, which raised £200,000. She has also supported World Osteoporosis Day events for years and continues to meet with health professionals to discuss new research on the disease. But that is not all. Camilla's commitment to charity also includes a strong focus on helping victims of rape and sexual abuse. After visiting several rape crisis centers in 2009 and hearing the harrowing stories of survivors, she made it a priority to raise awareness and improve support for these victims. She has worked closely with organizations like Safe Lives, which campaigns against domestic abuse and violence. In 2010, alongside then-Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, Camilla helped open a rape crisis center in Ealing, West London, and the following year, she opened another center in Essex. Camilla also initiated the idea of providing wash bags for rape victims, small kits filled with toiletries to help survivors feel more comfortable after traumatic examinations. This initiative, which started in 2013, has expanded to provide thousands of wash bags to crisis centers across the UK. She continues to work with various organizations to ensure victims have access to the support they need. Camilla's work on sexual abuse doesn't stop at the UK. During a 2016 tour of the Western Balkans with her husband, Camilla visited UNICEF programs in Montenegro and was shown an app designed to protect children from online sexual abuse. In 2021, she became patron of the Mirabel Center in Nigeria, the first sexual assault referral center in the country. She also partnered with the retail chain Boots to create a line of wash bags for sexual assault centers. Since then, over 50,000 wash bags have been distributed across the UK to support victims. Her work in this area continues to gain attention and support, especially as she becomes increasingly involved in the fight against domestic violence. In addition to her charitable work, Camilla has used her platform to speak out about important social issues. In 2020, she supported Safe Lives' Reach In campaign, which encourages people to recognize the signs of domestic violence in others and offer help. She also guest-edited a segment of BBC Radio 5 Live to focus on domestic violence, continuing her commitment to raising awareness. Camilla has spoken out about her shock at the murder of Sarah Everard and the need to break the culture of silence surrounding sexual violence. In 2021, she spoke at the launch of Shameless, a project aiming to educate people on sexual violence and its prevention, underscoring the importance of addressing this issue in society. As Queen Consort, Camilla continues to amplify her advocacy work. In 2022, she supported a campaign by NHS England encouraging survivors of sexual and domestic abuse to come forward for help. She also visited several sexual assault referral centers, including the Haven Paddington in West London, and supported charities helping domestic abuse survivors. That same year, she hosted her first reception at Buckingham Palace after becoming queen, marking the UN's 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. The event brought together influential figures from around the world to raise awareness of violence against women and girls. Camilla's impact on these issues has been captured in various media, including a 2024 ITV documentary, Her Majesty the Queen, Behind Closed Doors, which highlights her work with domestic abuse survivors. Her dedication to these causes is clear, as she continues to use her royal platform to speak out against violence and support those in need. In addition to her work on health and domestic violence, Camilla has supported the arts, education, and women's rights throughout her career. She has continued her work with the Royal Commonwealth Society and the Royal Academy of Dance, roles that were previously held by Queen Elizabeth II. Her leadership in these organizations and her public advocacy for women's rights have made her an important figure in both charity and cultural circles. Camilla's charitable work, particularly her efforts to support victims of abuse, raise awareness of osteoporosis, and promote gender equality, has made a lasting impact both in the UK and abroad. Through her advocacy and tireless commitment to making a difference, she has proven to be a compassionate and influential leader in the royal family, using her platform to help those who are most vulnerable in society. Do you think that Prince Harry's description of Camilla as the villain was necessary? Even he didn't have a good relationship with her. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Also, remember to click on the video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.
Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, is typically known for her poise and grace in the public eye, but a recent incident has left many shocked. In a rare and unexpected moment, Kate was seen being rushed away after a tense, on-camera situation took a sudden and unsettling turn. While the specifics of the meltdown remain unclear, the footage has sparked widespread concern, with many wondering what could have caused such an unusual reaction from the normally composed Duchess. This incident has left royal watchers stunned, raising questions about the pressures Kate faces behind the scenes.
She always leaves a little gift or something in their room when we go and stay, and that just shows, I think, her love for her family.
Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, is one of the most visible and admired members of the British royal family. Known for her elegance, composure, and unwavering dedication to royal duties, Kate has managed to maintain a steady and dignified public image. But even someone as seemingly unflappable as Kate isn't immune to the intense pressures of life in the spotlight.
We're looking forward to spending the rest of the times, the rest of our lives together, and seeing what the future holds.
In a rare moment that surprised many, Kate found herself at the center of an unexpected and unsettling incident that left her being rushed away in an unusually public manner. While Kate has always been known for handling public appearances with grace, this recent event has led to questions about the stress and challenges she faces behind closed doors.
Massively so. Of course, her and her family, I really want to make sure that they have the best sort of guidance and chance to see what life has been like, or what life is like in the family, and that's kind of almost why I have been waiting this long, is I wanted to give her a chance to see and to back out if she needed to.
The incident in question occurred during what was supposed to be a routine public engagement. As with many of Kate's appearances, the Duchess was on duty for a charitable cause, visiting an organization that focuses on early childhood development, a cause she has championed for years. The event was intended to be a positive and uplifting occasion, with Kate interacting with families and children as part of her ongoing work with the Royal Foundation's Early Years Initiative.
Before it all got too much, because I'm trying to learn from lessons done in the past, and I just wanted to give her the best chance to settle in and see what happens the other side.
And I'm also glad that I've had the time to to grow and understand myself more as well.
However, things took an unexpected turn when an on-camera situation reportedly became tense, leading to Kate being quickly ushered away from the event. While details of the specific circumstances remain unclear, reports suggest that Kate may have been overwhelmed by the situation, leading to what some witnesses described as a meltdown. Given her normally composed demeanor, this moment sparked widespread concern and media speculation.
Well, obviously it'd be, I would love to have met her, and she's obviously she's an inspirational woman to look up to.
Royal watchers and fans were quick to point out that this kind of public reaction is highly unusual for the Duchess, who has faced years of intense scrutiny without showing signs of stress or discomfort in front of the cameras. This moment has brought renewed attention to the immense pressure Kate faces as a senior member of the royal family. Ever since marrying Prince William in 2011, Kate has been a constant presence in the public eye, taking on a growing number of responsibilities as the future Queen consort. Her every move, outfit, and interaction is scrutinized, and the expectations placed on her are enormous. Despite this, Kate has managed to maintain a near-perfect public image, rarely giving the media or the public a glimpse into any personal struggles she may be facing. However, this recent incident is a reminder that life in the royal family is not as glamorous or easy as it may seem. The pressures of constantly being in the spotlight, combined with the weight of royal duties, can take a toll on anyone, even someone as composed as Kate Middleton. While the British press has long been known for its relentless coverage of the royal family, the scrutiny has only intensified in recent years, particularly following the departure of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from royal duties. This departure has left Kate and William with even more responsibilities, placing additional pressure on the couple as they step into more prominent roles within the monarchy. In the years since Meghan and Harry's exit, Kate has been seen as a stabilizing force within the royal family, working quietly and diligently to fulfill her duties without drawing too much attention to herself. However, the public and media often pit her against Meghan, comparing everything from their fashion choices to their public personas. This kind of comparison adds another layer of stress to Kate's role, as she's constantly being evaluated in contrast to other royals, particularly Meghan, who has taken a very different approach to life in the public eye. Kate's role in the ongoing rift between Prince William and Prince Harry has also been a source of significant tension. The once close brothers have reportedly become estranged in recent years, with their relationship reaching a breaking point following Harry and Meghan's decision to step back from their royal roles.
At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, has always been a symbol of elegance, strength, and poise, embodying the ideals of the British royal family. Known for her unwavering dedication to her royal duties and her ability to balance the demands of public life with motherhood, she has garnered admiration from millions across the globe. However, in recent months, troubling reports have emerged that have left both the public and the royal family deeply concerned. It all began during a prestigious royal event, where Kate Middleton, alongside her husband, Prince William, was expected to make another public appearance as part of her tireless commitment to charity work and royal obligations. The Duchess had long been known for her impeccable composure during these events, often showing little sign of fatigue or stress despite her packed schedule. However, what was meant to be a routine engagement quickly turned into a deeply distressing situation that left those in attendance in shock. As the Duchess mingled with guests, those nearby noticed that she seemed slightly pale and was moving at a slower pace than usual. Initially, it was chalked up to the sheer exhaustion of her busy schedule, which had been particularly demanding in recent months. However, things took a dramatic turn when, without warning, Kate collapsed in front of a horrified audience. Prince William, who was standing just a few feet away, immediately rushed to her side, his face a mixture of fear and urgency. The crowd fell into a tense silence, the joyous atmosphere instantly replaced by anxiety and concern. Royal aides and security personnel acted quickly, ushering the Duchess away from the crowd and into a nearby room where medical personnel had been summoned. The event was swiftly cancelled, and the media were asked to show restraint, although whispers of the incident quickly began circulating through the corridors of Buckingham Palace and beyond. Within hours, the news had broken, and concerns for Kate Middleton's health dominated headlines across the world. The collapse sparked an immediate response from the royal family, and questions began to surface about Kate's well-being. While the palace initially downplayed the severity of the situation, stating that the Duchess had merely been feeling unwell and was advised to rest, further reports soon indicated that the issue might be far more serious than previously thought. Speculation began to grow about the nature of her health struggles, with some pointing to the immense pressure she had been under in her role as a senior royal, while others suggested that there might be an underlying medical condition contributing to her collapse. In the days following the event, sources close to the royal family confirmed that Kate had undergone a series of medical tests to determine the cause of her sudden collapse. The results, while not immediately disclosed to the public, reportedly raised alarms within the royal household. It was later revealed that doctors had discovered a troubling issue, one that had been hidden from public view for some time. Kate Middleton had been quietly battling a serious health condition, and there were growing concerns that it might be cancer. The news sent shockwaves through both the British public and the wider world, as the idea that someone as beloved and high-profile as the Duchess could be facing such a daunting challenge seemed almost unthinkable. For years, Kate had maintained a healthy and active lifestyle, often seen jogging, playing tennis, and staying involved in numerous charitable causes related to physical and mental health. The revelation that she might be suffering from a potentially life-threatening illness left many in disbelief. While the royal family has traditionally been private about health matters, the severity of the situation forced them to address the growing speculation. In a carefully worded statement, the palace confirmed that Kate had indeed undergone further medical evaluations, and while they did not confirm a specific diagnosis, they acknowledged that she was facing a significant health issue. The statement reassured the public that Kate was receiving the best possible care and that her doctors were closely monitoring her condition. The lack of details in the palace's statement only fueled further speculation. Media outlets around the world began reporting that Kate Middleton might be suffering from a form of cancer, although no specific type had been confirmed. Some reports suggested that she had been diagnosed with an early stage of the disease and that her prognosis was good, while others speculated that her condition might be more advanced than initially thought. The truth, however, remained closely guarded by the royal family, leaving the public to grapple with the uncertainty of the situation. As Kate Middleton continued her recovery, the public's admiration for her only grew. She had faced one of the most difficult challenges of her life with grace and courage, and her resilience had touched the hearts of many. While the future remained uncertain, one thing was clear: Kate Middleton was a fighter, and she would continue to face whatever challenges came her way with the same strength and determination that had made her such a beloved figure in the first place. Throughout her ordeal, Kate had remained focused on her family, particularly her 3 young children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. As a mother, her greatest concern had always been for their well-being, and she had worked tirelessly to ensure that they remained happy and secure, despite the challenges she was facing. Prince William had also played a pivotal role in supporting both Kate and their children, ensuring that their family life remained as normal as possible during this difficult time. In a poignant moment that tugs at the heartstrings, Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, shared a deeply emotional embrace with a young girl in a touching act of compassion. This story, both heartwarming and heart-wrenching, unfolds as we explore the powerful reason behind this heartfelt gesture, a reason that is bound to move you to tears. Join us as we delve into this extraordinary act of kindness and the profound impact it had on both the young girl and those who witnessed it. This is a story of empathy, connection, and the remarkable ways in which simple gestures can leave an enduring legacy.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous.
Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, is renowned not only for her role within the British royal family, but also for her profound ability to connect with the public. Over the years, she has established herself as a figure of warmth, empathy, and genuine engagement, embodying qualities that endear her to people across the United Kingdom and around the world. Her interactions with individuals, her dedication to charitable causes, and the reciprocal affection she receives from the public reflect the depth of her character and the positive impact she has made. From the outset of her public life, Kate Middleton has been recognized for her exceptional ability to interact with people on a personal level. Her approachability and warmth have become defining features of her public persona. In a surprising moment that has reignited discussions about the inner workings of the British royal family, Princess Kate recently made headlines when she appeared to refuse to curtsy to Queen Camilla during a high-profile public event. The incident, caught on camera, has led to widespread speculation about possible tensions between the two royal figures. As protocol usually requires the Princess of Wales to show deference to the Queen Consort with a curtsy, Kate's decision to bypass this traditional gesture has been viewed by some as a pointed act of defiance, possibly reflecting underlying discord within the royal household. This moment, though brief, has added a new layer to the ongoing narrative surrounding the dynamics and relationships among the senior members of the monarchy. The driver of Princess Diana, finally breaking his silence, shared chilling details live on TV that shook the world.
I had to turn away, think about it, and then grip myself back and get on with what I was doing.
Princess Diana's untimely and unusual injury, a mystery that has haunted us all, was revealed to be the cause of her tragic death.
She was talking, and they were worried about other people, and it was only later that she had a very unusual injury.
I just felt that it was appearing every day in newspapers and various things that I was listening to people, and that was an emotional day on the day that she...
Imagine the driver's shock, hearing of the princess's horrific accident while he was in the comfort of his bed.
You got the phone call, and
Yes, I can, vividly.
What was it like? Where were you? And
I was in bed with my wife, and she answered the phone. I had a bit of banter with the guy on the other end, and then she looked round at me and said, "I think you better get up and sit on the end of the bed and take this phone call."
His colleague relayed to him with a grave tone that the princess had sustained severe injuries as a result of an unfortunate accident.
And it was a colleague from Balmoral who was telling me that Her Royal Highness was actually injured. And put the television on and you'll see. So that's what I did. You know, it was a bit of a shock. Got dressed and then went down to Kensington Palace.
Summoned to the palace after the accident, he recounted the surreal and heart-wrenching experience of being thrust into a tragedy.
Yes, it was quite difficult because Robin Cook, who was then the Foreign Secretary, was on the television giving giving what had happened. And he was explaining that she was injured. When in fact, the private secretary, Michael, was telling the 6 of us in the office that sadly she...
When he landed in Paris, the atmosphere was thick with tension and sorrow, a city mourning the loss of a beloved icon.
Yeah, so 24 hours was quite difficult. Getting to Paris was fine. Getting to the embassy was great, except I didn't speak French. My wife speaks it fluently, which a phone helped. And I knew one of the military attachés, Brigadier Ritchie, who immediately came into the room, and he used to work with Princess Anne.
The hospital was flooded with people desperate to know the princess's condition, a testament to her global impact.
So I was taken in to help, where I went to the hotel, and then I went to the hospital, and arrived at the hospital, lots of people about, on I think it was the first floor, and there was a lot of people.
The driver, maintaining his professionalism amid the chaos, felt the weight of the world's grief and disbelief.
Yes, I mean, I was an ex-inspector, but I did say that perhaps people are expecting lords, ladies and colonels in this in this particular instance, but we were dealt with by Sir Michael J. very, very well, and given everything that I needed, I was given.
He described the emotional torment of seeing Princess Diana in a hospital bed, a stark contrast to her usual radiant presence.
It's very difficult and emotional to see a person lying in a bed and not in a mortuary. And when I was in the room, which was very, very hot, I looked out of the window and I could see people on a roof. Now, whether they knew where the princess was, I don't know, but that worried me. So I got some blankets because there was no curtains, and we put blankets along the windows, which made it even hotter in the room. And I then went and got some fans to try and cool the room down. And that one moment in my life, which perhaps my professionalism was lacking a little bit, because as I turned round, the eyelashes and the hair of the princess were moving, caused by the fan. And that just struck me. I had to turn away, think about it, and then grip myself back and get on with what I was doing.
You didn't believe she would?
For a long time. I just refused to accept that she was gone. Part of, she would never do this to us, but also part of, maybe this is all part of a plan.
I mean, you really believe that maybe she had just decided to disappear for a time?
For a time, and then that she would call us and we would go and join her. Yeah.
How long did you believe that?
Years. Many, many years. And William and I talked about it as well. Mainly proof that she was in the car, proof that she was injured, and proof that the very paparazzi that chased her into the tunnel were the ones that were taking photographs of her lying half on the backseat of the car.
You write, I hadn't been aware before this moment, talking about looking at the pictures of the crash scene, that the last thing Mummy saw on this earth was a flashbulb. That's what you saw in the pictures.
The pictures showed the reflection of a group of photographers taking photographs through the window, and the reflection of the window was them.
Conspiracy theories swirled around the accident, each more sinister than the last, demanding thorough investigation.
I wasn't involved in the first examination, and of course she was then buried, so we didn't exhume her and have another look, but it was a review of all of the circumstances. There were so many conspiracy theories that needed to be looked at and properly examined. They were sort of glossed over a bit to begin with. So we went back and we did that. And so I looked obviously at the pathology, not just of Diana, but also of Henri Paul, who was the driver, and Dodie, who was her lover, and a guy called Trevor Rees-Jones, who was a security guard. So 4 people in that Mercedes. Now, if you have a crash at about 60 miles an hour in a Mercedes, you should walk away. And the thing I learned was that you put your seatbelt on, because Diana didn't have a seatbelt on. Dodie didn't have a seatbelt on. Henri Paul, the driver, didn't have a seatbelt on. Trevor Rees-Jones realised something was going wrong and just got his seatbelt on in time, because he lived to tell the tale. And when the car hit the bridge pillar, interestingly, the 13th pillar on the bridge, it adds to the conspiracy, doesn't it? It's got to be the 13th pillar. How the SAS managed to get them to hit the 13th pillar, I don't know. But, when they hit the pillar, Dodie hit the back of Henri Paul with a weight of about 3 elephants. and then Henri Paul hit the steering wheel. They were instantly. Diana wasn't badly injured. She'd broken an arm and had a couple of other little injuries. But I mean, she should have survived, and she was partly protected by Rhys Jones because she hit the back of his seat and was saved a bit. And in fact, when they arrived, they thought she was okay. She was talking, and they were worried about other people. And it was only later that she had a very unusual injury deep in the center of her chest that no one knew was there. And when she became ill and collapsed, it was at that point it became too late, and she after surgery.
Despite her royal status, the driver fondly remembered Princess Diana's tremendous sense of humor, a light in the darkness.
There is a line. You don't cross that line. You speak to when you're spoken to. And it is still very correct. She was still very royal. And yes, we were often together in the car, and it would be light conversation. She had a tremendous sense of humor. And wherever we went, I never had a crossword in the 2 years. Not one crossword. I think they went in too fast, but in the inquest that was sorted out. I've driven through the tunnel myself. There are stanchions in the tunnel, which if you can be taken a little bit by, if you're at two trains in a station, one moves out, you think you're moving. You go into fast where there's stanchions, it's getting a little bit worrying. So whatever happened, I went perhaps a little bit too fast and being taken away with the lady in the back.
And what are your memories of Princess Diana now? Because, of course, that was such an emotional time and 20 years ago, but when you think back and think of her legacy?
A great boss. I felt the last year from August the 28th when the divorce came through, that year up to she felt to me, because I didn't work with her years ago as a police officer, I was with Princess Anne, but she was good. She seemed to be living a good life and happy.
I was in bed in the embassy, and two phone calls came early on and told me that there had been an accident, and clearly I needed to get to the hospital quickly. When we arrived, we were met by the French Interior Minister, Jean-Pierre Chevènement, and he said he had heard that there'd been the accident. She had been badly hurt, but didn't know how badly she'd been hurt. And then Chevènement was taken out by one of the nurses, and he came back in tears, really, and came up to me and said, "I'm afraid she's." But then after we had heard that she had, then I was on the phone, clearly to Robin Janvin in Balmoral to tell him, so he could tell the royal family that she had, and also to Downing Street. It was just getting light. Two Mercedes drew up, and I told him that the Princess of Wales was. He knew that his son had died, and we offered our condolences.
Prince Harry, grappling with his own grief, was shielded from viewing the more gruesome photographs of his mother's final moments.
All I saw was the back of my mum's head, slumped on the back seat. There were other more gruesome photographs, but I will be eternally grateful to him for denying me the ability to inflict pain on myself by saying that, because that's the kind of stuff that sticks in your mind forever.
There was a tremendous shock in the hospital at that stage. And certainly when I was told, and we were told that we were aware that this was a profoundly moving moment for all those who had been involved.
Thursday marks 20 years since Princess Diana was killed in a car crash inside a Paris tunnel.
For years, people have wondered what really happened to Princess Diana. Some believed it was just a tragic accident, but others thought there was a secret behind it. Now, something unbelievable has happened. Queen Camilla has been sentenced for Diana's death. How did it come to this? What will happen to the royal family now? The truth has finally come out, and nothing will ever be the same again. How Camilla became a suspect. For years, people have whispered, argued, and even shouted about Camilla's role in Diana's tragic story. Was she really just the other woman? Or was there something more? Let's go back to where it all started. Camilla and Charles go way back, before Diana was even in the picture. They met in the early 1970s and fell in love, but for one reason or another, Charles didn't marry her. Instead, he ended up with Diana, a young, beautiful, and innocent woman who seemed perfect for the role of a princess. But there was a problem. Charles never really got over Camilla. Even after marrying Diana, Charles kept Camilla close. Too close. Diana wasn't stupid. She saw what was happening. Imagine being married to a man who secretly loves someone else. That's what Diana had to live with. And she didn't just stay silent about it. In 1995, she sat down for one of the most famous interviews in history. Looking straight at the camera, she said the words that would be remembered forever. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. Boom. Just like that, the world knew the truth. Diana was suffering, and Camilla was the reason. People turned against Camilla instantly. Even after Diana's tragic death in 1997, Camilla was still seen as the villain. When she finally married Charles in 2005, many people refused to accept her. Some still blame her for Diana's pain, and now, with new evidence coming to light, some believe she played a role in Diana's death itself. But how did she go from being a disliked woman to a murder suspect? Let's talk about it. New evidence that sparked investigation. For years, the case of Diana's death was considered closed. The official story was that she died in a tragic car crash in Paris, caused by a drunk driver trying to escape the paparazzi. But was that really all there was to it? Recently, something changed. New documents were leaked. Documents that, according to insiders, were never meant to be seen by the public. These papers hinted at a bigger plot behind Diana's death, something much darker than an accident. But that's not all. Some former royal staff members, who had stayed quiet for decades, finally spoke up. One witness, whose name hasn't been revealed yet for security reasons, claimed that Diana feared for her life before she died. She allegedly told her closest friends that she believed someone was planning to get rid of her. And guess what? She even wrote a letter predicting that she would die in a car crash. That's chilling, isn't it? But here's where Camilla comes in. According to these leaked documents and witness accounts, there were people within the royal circle who saw Diana as a problem. She was too popular, too powerful, and, most importantly, she wasn't afraid to speak the truth. This made her dangerous, especially to those who wanted Charles and Camilla to eventually be together without any obstacles. Now think about it. If you were Camilla and you knew your path to becoming queen was being blocked by a woman the whole world adored, how would you feel? Some believe Camilla didn't just wait for fate to remove Diana. She helped make it happen. But is that really true? Why the case was reopened? For years, people who questioned Diana's death were dismissed as conspiracy theorists. But when so many people believe something, can they all be wrong? The pressure to reopen the case had been growing for a long time. With the new evidence coming to light, authorities had no choice but to take another look. The big question was, if Diana's death wasn't an accident, then who was behind it? And if there was a plan to eliminate her, how deep did it go? Investigators started pulling old records, re-examining statements, and questioning people who had stayed silent for years. One thing became clear. There were too many loose ends in Diana's death. Too many strange coincidences. And the more they dug, the more Camilla's name started popping up. At first, many thought this was crazy. Why would Camilla of all people be involved? But then, when the leaked documents suggested that Diana had warned about a plot against her, people started listening. Diana had mentioned a woman close to Charles, who might have had a reason to see her gone. Could she have been talking about Camilla? The legal pressure leading to Camilla's involvement. As investigators gathered more evidence, the royal family stayed silent. They didn't want to comment on rumors. But behind palace walls, something was happening. Lawyers were being called. Meetings were being held. There was a real fear that this case could turn into the biggest royal scandal in history. And when the police officially announced they were looking into Camilla as a person of interest, the world went crazy. Imagine that. A queen being investigated for the murder of another queen. It sounds like something out of a movie, but it was really happening. Camilla, the woman who had spent decades trying to win over the British public, was now at the center of a criminal case. Some sources claim that when she first heard about the investigation, she laughed it off. She thought it was ridiculous. But as days went by and more evidence came out, she stopped laughing. She reportedly became paranoid, avoiding public events and staying behind palace doors as much as possible. And then came the breaking point. One of the former royal staff members who had been close to Diana was brought in for questioning. What they said has not been fully revealed yet, but insiders claim it was something huge, something that directly linked Camilla to the case. Whatever it was enough to push investigators to take the next step: charges and key accusations. The prosecution wasted no time. They made it clear from the very beginning. They believed Camilla was involved in Diana's death. But how? What proof did they have? First, they talked about motive. Why would Camilla want Diana gone? Well, everyone knows about the love triangle. Diana herself had said it. There were 3 of us in this marriage. Camilla was always there in the background, waiting. But was she just waiting, or did she take matters into her own hands? Then came the real bombshell. The prosecution claimed they had evidence linking Camilla to people who might have had a hand in Diana's accident. They brought up secret phone calls, hidden meetings, and even documents that suggested Camilla knew more than she ever admitted. But here's the real kicker. The prosecution hinted that Camilla may have been working with powerful people. People with influence, money, and the ability to make things disappear. Could this mean the royal family itself was involved? Was there a hidden network protecting her all these years? The courtroom was silent. People were hanging on to every word. Was Camilla just a woman in love, or was she part of something much darker? Camilla's defense. Then it was time for Camilla's lawyers to speak. They had one job: to convince everyone that Camilla was innocent. But how do you fight against years of rumors, conspiracy theories, and a public that never really liked you in the first place? Camilla sat still, her face pale, as her lawyers argued that she had nothing to do with Diana's death. They said it was absurd. They pointed out that Camilla wasn't even in the country when Diana died. How could she have planned something so big? Then they played the sympathy card. Camilla was a victim too, they said. The public had hated her for years. She had suffered. She had been called names, blamed for ruining Charles and Diana's marriage, and now she was being accused of something even worse. They painted her as a woman who had simply fallen in love with the wrong man at the wrong time. And then came the biggest moment. Did Camilla herself speak? Did she take the stand? Yes, she did. She stood up, hands shaking slightly, and looked straight at the jury. Her voice cracked as she spoke. I did not kill Diana. I had nothing to do with her death. But then came the twist. She didn't stop there. She turned the blame elsewhere. She suggested that if there was a conspiracy, then she wasn't the one pulling the strings. Someone else was. But who? Was she hinting at the royal family? The government? Someone even bigger? People whispered among themselves. What did she mean? Was she telling the truth? Or was she just trying to save herself? Shocking testimonies. And then, the trial took another shocking turn. Witnesses started coming forward. Some of them had never spoken before. Others had been ignored for years. But now they had the world's attention. One former royal staff member claimed they had seen strange meetings between Camilla and people linked to British intelligence. They had overheard conversations about Diana being a problem. A driver who worked for the royal family revealed something even darker. He claimed that the night Diana died, there was already talk inside the palace about what had happened, before the news had even broken. How could they have known so soon? Unless they had expected it? And then came the biggest shock of all. A former security officer, someone who had worked closely with Charles and Camilla, took the stand. He looked nervous, wiping sweat from his forehead. He took a deep breath and then said it. I was told to keep quiet. I was told Diana's accident wasn't an accident. Gasps filled the courtroom. Even Camilla's lawyers looked shaken. Who told him to keep quiet? Why? The judge called for order, but the damage was done. The jury had heard everything. The world had heard everything. Final verdict and sentencing. The courtroom waited. Hours passed. People outside were glued to their screens. What would happen? Would Camilla walk free? Or would this be the day justice was finally served? Then, the jury returned. The room held its breath. The judge asked the foreman to read the verdict. Guilty. The word echoed through the room. Camilla blinked as if she hadn't heard it. Guilty? Number that couldn't be right. The judge began to speak. He talked about the seriousness of the crime, the need for justice, and then finally he gave the sentence. Life in prison. The room exploded. Some people cheered, others gasped. Reporters rushed outside to break the news. Queen Camilla, now just Camilla Parker Bowles again, had been sentenced to life. And then came her reaction. At first, she sat frozen. Her face turned red, her hands clenched into fists. Then, suddenly, she stood up and shouted, "This is a setup! I didn't do anything." She turned to Charles, who was sitting nearby, his face pale and expressionless. "Say something. Tell them." But Charles didn't move. He just stared ahead, like he wasn't really there. Camilla tried again. She begged, she screamed, but no one listened. The guards moved in, grabbing her arms. She fought, but it was no use. They led her away, her voice still echoing through the room. And just like that, it was over. But was it? Because as Camilla was taken out, the questions still remained. Was she really the mastermind? Or was she just a piece in a much bigger game? And if she was, then who was still out there, hiding in the shadows? So, what happens next? Camilla has just been sentenced. The entire world is in shock, and now the big question is, where does she go from here? Camilla's fate. Now, let's be real. Camilla is not the kind of person to just sit back and say, "Oh well, I guess I'll go to prison now." She has spent decades climbing her way to the top. She went from being the most hated woman in Britain to the queen of the country. Do you really think she will give up that easily? Camilla still has powerful friends, expensive lawyers, and, most importantly, King Charles himself. He has spent years defending her, making the public accept her, and trying to erase the memory of Princess Diana. Would he just stand there and let her rot in jail? Absolutely not. So, of course, the first thing Camilla will do is appeal. Her lawyers will argue that the trial was unfair, that the evidence wasn't strong enough, and that she was targeted because of who she is. They might even say that the case was nothing but a conspiracy to bring down the monarchy. But here's the problem. Appeals take time. A long, long time. While the process is happening, Camilla will have to wait. And no, she won't be waiting in her fancy palace. She will be in prison. Well, Camilla won't be thrown into just any regular prison. She won't be sitting in a tiny cell with 10 other women. She is still the queen consort, and whether people like it or not, she has special status. This means she will likely be sent to a high-security prison for VIPs, where she will have her own cell, some level of protection, and probably more comfort than an average prisoner. One possible location is HMP Bronzefield, the UK's most high-profile women's prison. It has housed some of the most dangerous female criminals in Britain, but it also has private cells for high-profile inmates. Camilla would likely have limited contact with other prisoners for safety reasons, but make no mistake, prison is still prison. There are no royal servants, no fancy dinners, no designer dresses, just a small room, a metal bed, and a life completely controlled by prison rules. Can you imagine Camilla waking up to the sound of prison guards, eating simple food off a plastic tray, and having no access to luxury? Would she even be able to survive it? And then there's another question. How will the public react to seeing a queen in prison? Would people feel bad for her? Or would they celebrate, saying justice has finally been served for Diana? The monarchy's future. Now, here's where things take a dark turn for the royal family. Because this isn't just about Camilla. This is about King Charles, too. Think about it. His wife has just been convicted for being involved in the death of Princess Diana. His entire reputation is now hanging by a thread. People are furious. The media is going crazy. Protests are breaking out in the streets. And the big question on everyone's mind is, can King Charles stay on the throne after this? For years, there were already people who didn't want Charles to be king. Many believed the throne should have gone straight to Prince William after Queen Elizabeth's death. Charles was never as popular as his mother, and now, with this scandal, his rule is in serious danger. The British monarchy survives on public support. If the people lose faith, the system starts to fall apart. And let's be honest, after this trial, how many people will still support him? The Queen was loved because she stayed away from scandals. Charles, on the other hand, is now right in the middle of one of the biggest royal scandals of all time. Some experts believe that he will try to hold on to the throne, hoping the public will eventually move on. But others think he might be forced to step down, either because of public pressure or even because of a decision made within the royal family itself. And if Charles steps down, who takes over? Prince William. Will this scandal lead to the end of the monarchy? Now, this is the biggest question of them all. Could this be the final nail in the coffin for the British royal family? We have to remember, the monarchy has already been struggling. Younger generations are losing interest. Many people feel like the royal family is outdated, unnecessary, and a waste of taxpayer money. But this could push things over the edge. For decades, people have suspected that Diana's death wasn't an accident. Now, with Camilla's sentencing, many will see this as proof that something dark has always been lurking within the royal family. And when the public loses trust, it's very hard to get it back. Imagine this: millions of people demanding the monarchy